Hotels and restaurants are not the only subsectors in the tourism industry to be impacted nor concerned about the VAT. Tour operators are anxiously waiting for a favorable response from government in having their request for a review of VAT on their businesses. The request stems out of the fact that the cruise sector, which it depends on for business, is not attracting VAT, and this holds serious implications for local tour operators. Daniel Belize is the SLHT's second vice president.
Now, what does that mean to, for instance, a local boat tour operator who is above the threshold of $180,000, so who has to register for VAT, cannot pass on the 15% VAT to the cruise industry? It means that he has to absorb that. The MCs that put together packages, although there is a clause in there which states that you can perhaps in some cases strip out certain parts of that tour which may be exempt, but there are other parts that you cannot. And the point I'm trying to make here is that if VAT is a tax on consumer, and in this particular case it is in fact the business place that is going to have to absorb, and in most cases as much as 15%, then therefore it's not a tax on consumer anymore. So we are asking for government basically to really look at this, and we are asking for an exempt position.
Meanwhile, micro enterprises are also worried about their survivability come 1st October. President of the St. Lucia Industrial Small Business Association, Flavia Sherry, says faced with increased operating costs and rental fees, a number of small business owners are preparing for the worst-case scenario once VAT comes on stream, and that is closure by December.
Well, the worst-case scenario, as members have expressed it, is that there are some members. So far, we have at least 26 members who have expressed the desire to even close their businesses, perhaps by the end of the year or early next year. So that's why we're hoping that this kind of training will give a better perspective on it. And we're hoping to even try to support members by way of financial services. We are now doing some collaborations with those who provide those services to see if there can be some relief in that regard. Well, that's one of the areas that SLISBA is hoping to provide some support, and we are working with some service providers, accounting service providers, to see if something to be done to provide some general support over a period of time to help with the transition in terms of VAT implementation.
One final note on the VAT, management consultant and SLISBA member Keith Miller believes businesses and the general population will adjust to the VAT eventually. However, that period will be a slow one.
Right now, I think there will be some sort of, some sort of sluggish adoption of VAT. There may be a lot of issues because, as you know, that there are a lot of subtext, to the VAT bill that a lot of people will have to become familiar with, right? It will take some time, is what I'm trying to say. But the general principle to understand VAT is the difference between input VAT, output VAT, who can claim, who cannot claim, and all the shenanigans that go with that. And I think you will have a number of situations where certain people may misunderstand what their responsibilities are to the VAT office or to the VAT system when it comes to specific transactions. And I think that is what is going to take time. As time goes by, people will get used to the idea, I suppose, and everything should level out.
What remains a concern for Mr. Miller, though, is the application of VAT on the service sector, particularly where intellectual property is the core function.
I think the impact on the services sector is going to be quite pronounced, particularly, and I think particularly because the people in the services sector do not have inputs as such. They say that they could claim against, you understand, when it comes to charging VAT. As you know, in a situation like manufacturing, you import goods, then you add value, and then they charge you the tax on it. in the services sector, say like myself as a management consultant, my input is mostly intellectual. You can't charge VAT on that. And other inputs, maybe stuff like stationery, phone, telephone calls, etc., which compared with what we have to charge, what we have to pay in VAT, right? If we reach the threshold, that is, there's nothing really to claim that output VAT against. It's very small. So we actually will be ending up in a situation, people in the services sector will be paying quite a lot of VAT with nothing really to claim against.